Welcome to the Solemn YuGiOh channel. Today we start a little series. So I've been getting a lot of people asking like, how do you grade cards? Which company do I use? How do I know which is good to grade? Blah, 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 blah. And so I figured I'd make a little series going over all of these questions essentially. So today we start with what YuGiOh cards are worth grading. Now, if you find this kind of content interesting, be sure to like, subscribe, and of course check out the other episodes that will be coming out in the coming days. So how do you define what cards are actually worth grading? Well, one really good indicator will obviously be what kind of price are they asking. Like if your card is a 1 cent card, it's very unlikely that graded it will suddenly be worth a lot more. Generally, people want something graded because it's very rare, and so adding an even higher grade to that shows like, whoa, this is super rare. It's also a little form of protection, you know, it won't get damaged in your binder or something like that. It's a little bit of an insurance there. And so first, you know, the big question will be like raw, is it worth anything? Again, if it's a 5 cent card or a $1 card, it's probably not worth grading. Overall, the price of grading will depend on many factors, especially because right now PSA is so backed up. PGS is also an option, we'll get to that. But so your card needs to be worth something. You're not gonna grade a card for like $10 to $50, depending on various things, to put like a $5 card in a slab. That doesn't make any sense. Secondly, usually it's smart if the card is also rare. Because, you know, the first thing may be like, oh, you know, my card is expensive, so therefore I should grade it. Well, no. If it's just expensive, it may also just be a playable card. Let's say something like a Triple Tactics Talents. It's a really easy example because it's an expensive card right now. Grading that card doesn't make a lot of sense because the value in Triple Tactics Talents is that it's an insanely powerful, borderline broken staple for competitive decks. And so the value in that card is from the fact that you play with it and it sometimes wins you games. If you put it in a PSA case, you cannot play games with it. And so graded, sure, it may look cool, maybe you'll get a 10, whoa, it may be the only 10 in the world or something stupid like that, but almost no one's gonna buy that. So that's another thing. You really want to make sure that your card you're getting graded is somewhat rare, but that it's not just a playable card. You want it to be something older maybe, or maybe a fancy ghost rare. Like if you are gonna buy something like a ghost rare Winged Dragon of Ra, at least make sure that you get it graded. That way you know it can't really get damaged anymore in your binder or something like that. And you also ensure the quality. Like maybe it's a 10, that could add a little bit of that value to it, especially because those ghost rares tend to be damaged in the packs already. Though obviously I'm not a big fan of grading modern cards. Like right now in Pokemon, we have this craze because of Logan Paul and Logic and Gary Vaynerchuk and all of that. There's people who are gonna get burned. They are sending in so many modern cards that just aren't rare. Be aware that there's so many people opening cases right now, pulling hundreds of these stupid shiny Charizards and instantly keeping them in pristine condition, but also instantly sending them in for grading. And so some people last year, we saw this, you had this Charizard, shiny Charizard. Wow, it's so special to pull, cool, it's a $400 card. So if I grade it, it's gonna be worth even more, right? Wow, and then the first BGS 10 or something came around. It was like, wow, BGS 10 of that rare card, that must be special. And it sold for 4,000, wow, 4,000. And then people realized, hey, wait a sec. There's another one for sale. And another one. And another one. And another one. Oh, wait, how many were sent in? And people notice, oh, there's thousands of these getting 10s in these fucking grading companies. And so it crashed from 4,000 to 1,000, boom, just like that. So be very aware that if your card is very modern, it's more than likely, sure, you can send it in for grading. I would probably do it with those ghost rares because getting 10s is hard, but still, it's a bit slippier, let's say. Again, you want it to be somewhat expensive already. Because if your grading costs more than your card, it doesn't sound all that smart. Unless maybe you found some little trick in the market, whatever, but generally no. You want it to be a card that is rare, you know, and that is preferably a bit older. Because again, modern cards, there's so many people keeping them in pristine condition. It being a 10 is not that exciting, unless of course, maybe it's a ghost rare, you don't want it to get more scratches, blah, blah, blah. Next up, another important one is make sure it's a first edition or that, you know, it wasn't reprinted into oblivion. A lot of people think unlimited LOB cards are worth this insane amount, when in actuality, LOB has been reprinted in all these modern years. And so if it's not first edition, it's likely just a modern card. And once again, we get into the same trap. There's a lot of people keeping these in pristine condition because they're instantly pulled. You can literally go to Walmart right now and buy vintage cards. Finally, a really good indicator, you can go to psacard.com, look up the name of the card, specifically from the set and everything as well. And that way you can see how many were graded already. So if you notice, hey, a few were sent in already, like maybe 200 were sent in already, maybe there's something there. Whereas if none were sent in, well, either you were a genius because you found some secret trick, or the demand just really isn't there. So when we're talking about like very gradable cards, we're talking about the prize cards. Whether it's YCS or Shonen Jump, you know, those prize cards are very rare and they're also expensive. A first edition vintage card from like Metal Raiders, Magic Ruler, LOB, Pharaoh's Servant, and so forth, those. Especially first edition. Maybe some promo, maybe some tin cards, you know, we have our BPT right there, like those. Maybe a secret rare from back in the day that's also going up, something like a Necrophase, a Dark Arm Dragon. There's also that magic book in the same set as Necrophase. I'm losing the name right now. Put it in the comments or something. You know, cards that also have some rarity to them that way. Obviously ghost rares from the 5D era, if they are in good condition. Once again, that's another really important factor. If your card looks like shit, getting it graded makes no sense. Because like, oh, I have a PSA 4 of this. No one cares. People are buying slapped cards because it's an assurance that, oh, this card is actually worth something. So one thing to really make sure that you check is that you don't have scratches, you don't have any whitening on the corners, you don't have any bends. We'll get to that in another video, but you know, when you're considering sending something in for grading, make sure it's actually worth grading, that it's actually in good condition. But once again, we'll get to that. That's just something I wanna still throw in here, let's say. Another good one is Ultimate Rares from the GX era. We've seen Cyber and Dragon, Shining Flare, Wingman, and all these cards have gone up crazily. So if you've got some of those raw and they look in good condition, might as well send them in. Maybe you have a real gem on your hands. So yeah, that's been all. If you personally think like, oh, it could be smart to grade something like this and something like that, you can put it in the comments down below. This is just a really quick starter, let's say. Hope that helped.